kind of amazed at how young our staff is. And so, for us, what constant gentle pressure means is just gently training them in the right way and giving them the good freedom to run too. And, it's amazing what they'll do both in loyalty and performance.
Okay. Yeah. I'm interested. I'm intrigued with the gentle pressure, and in particular, how how you really use that when you get down to nuts and bolts. Like if I'm there and I show up late, you
Yeah.
give me some gentle pressure. You don't turn my key too hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, depending upon the situation, actually.
Okay.
And we were just, he was bringing this up. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is it's happening to me now.
What do you think, Lat? Now this is a setup? Is that what you think?
No, yeah.
I think Alex can use this model that you're starting to talk to him about.
Yeah.
Some gentle pressure. I'm telling you, the Office Shaman model would fucking work 10 times better. He's already on it. He's a shaman.
Yeah. What we're doing here is relationships. That's it. We're doing the nuts and bolts of relationships. And wouldn't you know it, we're never taught those things. In other words, we're never really taught about what goes into play to have agreements with our staff and our spouse and all sorts of loved ones. We do it, but we don't ever really pick apart the structure to see if we can do it better.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of who they call it, Chef Ramsay. I love his shows.
Yeah.
So he's got this show now called I forget what it's called, like 24 hours. I forget, like hell to 24 hours from hell or something like that. And the whole premise of the show is that he comes into a restaurant. He always finds things. I'm impressed with that guy. He deals with real shit. And he comes into restaurants, and every time he comes in, he's always dealing with relationships. Always, because that's always the cornerstone of where they're bleeding money.
Yeah.
Okay. So like last week, he did a show. I don't even know where it was, but two brothers own the place, and they're not getting along, and he asked them, how come you're not talking to each other? And they both, put their arms up like this and say, he doesn't listen to me and he doesn't listen to me. And he dealt with that shit right at the beginning. He dealt with it by, really having what they call a come to Jesus discussion with them about where they were, because, I like that guy. He deals with real shit, and he knows that if you're not dealing with relationships, then you're perpetuating the same thing over and over again. It'd be easy just to say, all right, guys, we're going to come in here and we're going to build you a new place, and here's a new menu because your menu sucks, or we're going to upgrade your staff. But if you do all that and you leave the same behaviors, especially at the management level, in place, guess what you get? The same thing again.
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer. I don't know if Ralph told you that.
No.
Yeah, I make a living on, or I made a living on clients doing the same stupid shit over and over again. Yeah, lawyers do well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we've represented some restaurants in what we call partnership divorces.
So, from a lawyer's perspective, how black and white is the law?
It's it's black and white. It's such an interesting question. It is. Maybe I should turn it around and ask you why you're asking the question, because not because I don't want to answer it, but because it'll give me a better way to see where you're coming from and asking it, and then I can help you.
Ralph and I were actually talking about the black and the white and the gray areas. And I said how funny that is because, and I didn't get to, I mentioned it to Ralph. Hey, we kind of had an incident like that at the restaurant with the management team. And so we thought we kind of were set on what black and white was, and then it maybe wasn't so black and white. And
You care to share the management team incident, so I
what's that?
can get a flavor for what this is?
Yeah.
What
Ken, if
It
I may.
was
Go ahead. Wait. Time out. I have to make some more introductions here. Alex, meet John Worthington.
Hi, Alex.
I think John might have a question here too.
I have a couple of questions actually, Alex. This is a fascinating story that you're telling here. First of all, what's the average life expectancy of somebody who works for you? I mean,
for me.
long, yeah, at your restaurant, that gentle pressure place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Life expectancy.
Yeah, how long are they going to be on the job?
Oh. Average life expectancy or average employment time?
Churn, turnover, things like that.
I thought you were like asking
No,
when you.
I don't care whether they live or die. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Get into it, dude.
It's so funny that you say that because we hire very young, and
Yeah, I heard that part. What I'm asking about is how long does it take? How long do they last?
I'm gonna say, let's say a year and a half to
Okay, so
4.5.
till they finish high school, then more or less.
Then they graduate to college. Then some may go away to college and then come.
And someone come back and have a summer job while they're going. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a town where we had what was called the sweet shop, and it wasn't open all the time because there wasn't enough people all the time. But that's how it worked too. Okay, I'm with. All right. The other question I have is this: when I was younger, I was pretty much enamored with my philosophies. And as I grew older, I got to the place where I was really looking for something that was non-philosophical, that could just exist without any paint on it, just, kind of naked, as it were.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're trying to do here with the Office of Shaman. I think that at least that's what Ken would like to do in his wildest of dreams, is he'd like to present this idea to you guys from that perspective. And I think that if you were to give it a chance and give it a chance, like listen to this whole damn series a couple of times and see how much of it you take and use in your business, and see if you don't make your business work even better than whatever it's doing right now. It's not going to make it miraculously double or anything like that, but you know what? You might just feel better about you and what you do. That'd be a good thing, I guess, huh?
Happiness starts from within first. Yeah.
Cool. Then let's try to keep the philosophy out of the discussion. Can we do that?
Okay.
Okay.
Can I backtrack? Sorry, I said okay a little bit quick. Can you repeat that? And
yeah.
maybe
Okay. Yeah. No, it's because it's a rather good abstraction, and I've noticed already that you deal in these kinds of abstract ideas. So I'm going to challenge you a little bit with it here right away. I prefer to deal with things from a non-philosophical standpoint. In other words, to say rather than say it's empirically a dichotometric black or white, I prefer to deal with it in terms of it being an absence or an abundance of light, because that's what it actually is. Now, I may call it black and white, but when I define it, I have to define it that way in my mind. And so I don't want to color my thinking with the black and white philosophy or the philosophy of dichotomies, as a for instance.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to keep shit like that out of my thinking. Okay. So the other way I look at this is I say, okay, out beyond right and wrong, there's a field. I'll meet you there.
Okay. Repeat that one more time. Out.
Okay. Out beyond right and wrong, there's a field. I'll meet you out there. I'll go to that field out beyond right and wrong. Let's go camp out there and talk. You want to?
Yeah. So
We can
Okay.
party out
Rights
there
and
if you'd
wrongs.
like.
Who cares that they don't exist except in your own scorecard mind? So let's put them
Well,
down.
wait,
Put down,
uh,
put down the rights and wrongs. It doesn't mean anything. You know what, Alex? I'll meet you out there. We'll both put them down. You know, and that's how we'll get something done.
okay.
Kind of thing,
Okay.
right? I think that's what you mean, John Worthington.
And you know what? I'm glad you came, Alex. Welcome and
Yeah.
get on in here and kick a little ass and take a few names. It's okay.
Now, just a little disclaimer. This was not planned. Hey, I just came over
No.
to Ralph.
No disclaimers, no
But
apologies.
I
You
know
are.
you're inviting me to do some work, right? Like
Not
work within my.
necessarily. I'm inviting you
Okay.
to put your feet up, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I'm inviting you to be a
My
guest
favorite,
in my house.
my favorite bumper sticker. My favorite bumper sticker is the one that says, "Get in, sit down, shut up, and hold on."
Come as you want, Alex.
Yeah.
That's the point. Yeah, don't no apologies needed.
Yeah.
We're neighbors, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Besides, you have a fascinating head. I can see.
Thank you.
I can see why Ralph likes you.
stuck with him.
He also married, but I love him too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to lie. You don't need to lie on my account, dude. It's okay.
I got a cup of coffee coming from him, so yeah.
Good. Yeah, he's a good host. One of the first things that we deal with, Alex and others, let me first, since we jumped right into this, just say hi to everybody who's on and listening in. I know we're broadcasting on Facebook too. Welcome to the Office of Shaman Summit Series episode, I think 12. We're going through John Worthington's book, The Office of Shaman, chapter by chapter. We're stopping 2 nights in a row on each chapter, and the book is, you could say, roughly divided into 2 parts. The first part are tools. I like to think of them as things you can pick up and use, and the second part is functions, which you can think of in terms as the energetic expression of, you can call it, the parts of you that are more than your body. Give it whatever word you want. Soul, other, spirit, doesn't matter. But I found that having a model, a non-philosophical model that of what thinking is and how to use it has paid huge dividends, and partly in just my own sanity and relaxation and comfort and enjoyment, instead of pulling my hair about things or getting into fights with people over nothing. That's been just one of the dividends. And I surprised myself, Alex, because I was pretty dogmatic. I think if I follow John's point about non-philosophical, I had my things, my pet peeve, dogmatic rules of things, the rules according to Ken Kaplan about how I did things, only to find out that lots of them under the microscope didn't serve me as well as I thought. So I think you could also say, with that quote that Terry put up that John had mentioned, out beyond rights and wrongs, there's a field. I'll meet you there. It's kind of like, hey, if I'm gonna do things with people in my life, then putting down my dogmatic thinking and my rights and wrongs is a good thing, I think. Sound good?
I guess. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But since you're on, and I was going to mention it tonight anyway, at some point, might as well come right out and say it. One of the things that we talk to people about first is blame. Do you care to venture a guess why that is like a foundational concept that we get right out on the table?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What would you think? Like why would that be something that?
Personally, for me, when I play the blame game, I play it first in my mind before I move it into person or so. Thank you.
You got your coffee.
Yeah. And then sometimes it doesn't even, you know, when you kind of, they say, hey, you got a problem with somebody, maybe write a letter to them, seal it up, sleep on it, and then the next day, if you still want to give it to them, hey, give it to them.
Okay.
For me, it comes down to the blame game, maybe.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. People blame. They do. We're somehow conditioned, or blame is fairly widespread. It doesn't mean it serves us. It's just fairly widespread. And by definition, if
Serves.
if I blame, what I'm doing, or if you blame, is I'm saying that the thing that I'm complaining about, whatever it is, that's going on for me, my business, my relationships, whatever, I'm pointing to the outside and saying the reason why it's happening is because of that thing on the outside.
Yeah.
Now, while I found out in my experiences that there are most certainly outside influences on what I do, I've also found out that I've had a leading actor role in every business and relationship I've ever had. So if there's a complaint that I have, and let me tell you, Alex, I've had my share of things that I didn't like, to look at the man in the mirror myself and see where I contributed to this thing that I'm complaining about was a good starting point, because without that as a starting point, you're basically putting up a wall with blame saying, it ain't me, it's you. So that's why we start with blame. And you jumped right in tonight to a chapter in Office of Shaman called Honesty. And, blame is a form of dishonesty, in the sense that it's a form of me saying, what's going on for me? Dude, it's your fault. How dare you? If you didn't do this, this wouldn't have happened. You made me so mad, or whatever, in all of its various subtle and not so subtle formats.
Mm-hmm.
Blame. Okay. Well, cool. You still listening in, Ralph Aquaviva?
I'm here. I'm in the background.
Okay. You keeping up with the reading on Office of Shaman?
I gave my Ollie, and I hope he's listening tonight, because yesterday he did the blame thing, and I was telling him about it.
Greg. Right? That's who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. That happens. That's what I'm talking to Alex about. Because, I met Greg on the podcast. I met him first time in person this weekend, and, he's a good guy. But just like everybody that I meet, I could see, it's that, there's things that are going on relationship wise, for better or for worse.
Hey, Ralph, I think I heard a question in what you were talking about, and if I could, I'm going to address it for you, based on something that happened to me for the day, if that'd be all right.
Yeah, go for it.
With me, yeah. Go for it.
Somebody asked who Terry was a while ago. Remember that?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Cool.
No. I'm sorry. Yeah, you may have interpreted that as I answered for Ralph, but it's me, Ralph's brother-in-law, Alex.
Alex, got it.
Yeah. You don't sound like Ralph, Alex. You sound like Alex.
Cool.
Ralph sounds distinctly like Ralph. Okay, I've got that one down now. See, there you go. All right. So anyway, my friend Terry has been pretty dishonest in her life. As a matter of fact, she's just been a liar all her whole life, and she always covers it up by being a bitch about it. And I mean, trust me, when Miss Terry, you can tell the story better than me, right?
Yeah, I guess I can. I've lived it, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I mean, ever since I was it's like everything was a white lie. That nobody had problems. If you were mad, you didn't show it. You painted over everything. And so that's for starters. And then the other piece of that is I got into a habit of thinking I could get things kind of easy and on the cheap. Yeah, I was smart and I did okay in school, but I looked for kind of the quick and easy way to do things. And I knew I was doing that. And I didn't like being called out when it was exposed. And so my way of dealing I would get kind of all of my back up and think I'll show you, and when it started I didn't think about it as being bitchy, but you know it's really bitchy. And so I mean, ever since I started doing classes and work and so forth, this is something that Ken and John and other people have talked to me about. And I could kind of see, okay, yeah, I get it, and I get it, you can be honest here, but I did it on the cheap. And so today, John and I had a conversation about that, and kind of really got down to that, how long I've been doing that and why I've been doing that, and essentially what I have created with my relationships with people and in the work that I do, and so what I can be trusted to do and what I can't. And what's been kind of interesting to me about that is the other thing that people that know me is part of my bitchiness is I get all frenzied and kind of race around and overdrive. And what was really interesting is that after I had that conversation, kind of got down to, okay, yep, this, instead of arguing or proving or showing, it's like, okay, there's nothing else to hide, nothing else to, it's just, there it is. And usually after, when we'd have those conversations before, I'd get all frenzied and kind of decide, okay, now I'm really going to prove it. And now I'm kind of in saying, okay, here's just what it is. This is, I have to start with where I actually am, not what I want to show anybody. And so I guess that's a way to get into it, John.
Well, yeah, that really was a good introduction right there. Now, you see, here's the thing: is that what that took for Terry is that took just absolute brutal honesty with Terry. I can't be brutally honest with Terry about that. I mean, I can be bitchy about it with Terry, but she can do bitchy without any of my help. So there's no reason for me to help her out with that. You know, if she wants to do bitchy, she can. I got it. But you know, I mean, I think that if she does that, what happens is that makes her a lot more likable to other people, and also that makes her more available to visit with and talk with other people, and makes her more available altogether, all around as a human being. What do you think, Terry?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it does, because like 90% of the time before, I'd be so busy trying to rush and move forward.
Okay, cool.
I wasn't there.
I have one more question, then I can shut up and can get out about it.
Okay.
Okay. How do you stop doing that? I mean, how do you just stop? I mean, how do you stop being a bitch? I mean, I'm not. It's okay with me. I love you just the same, bitch or no bitch. But I mean, I'd love you more if you weren't such a bitch. So okay, how do you stop doing that?
Well, first I recognize that there were times where I'm not a bitchy, and that's like, well, gee, if I know when I'm not, and I know when I am,
Right.
It's kind of like it's quitting cigarettes or quitting drinking. It's like you say, that's the last time.
Okay. That doesn't look like it's too hard to do from there. Then you just say, okay, I don't need to do that. I mean, it's not like the bitchy monkey gets up on your back and strokes you and shakes your head till you turn blue.
No, the bitchy is just kind of an indulgence, and once I kind of got down and saw it for what it is,
Okay.
then it takes away all the excuses.
I see. So then you can just turn that off. Then say I've moved into a different phase of my life, or what?
It's kind of it is kind of like that, but it's also saying, there are things in my life that are way more important than being a bitchy, proving myself.
Okay, cool. So then that leads one more follow-up question then, I guess, and that is, if folks know better, why is it they don't do it different? I mean, that was there something about that paid you off really? I don't think I've ever really been growly about you being a bit about anything really. I mean, it's just part of the landscape when you talk to Terry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you said for a long time. It's like, oh, there it is again. Yep.
Okay, well, I don't want people who are listening in, for instance, to think that I'm picking on you because I'm using that B word and saying that's what you are, that's what you did.
Yeah. Well, part of what you did is it was so I could begin to see how global it was, because I wasn't honest with myself about that.
I don't know that anybody would know what it is.
Okay, all right. The bitchiness, the attitude, all that. There was a lot of things I would say and do that I wasn't honest about what it actually was. I gave it a lot of other names, and you saying, wait a minute, there it is. It got me to kind of stop and say, wait, wow, oh shit, yeah, it is. And so when I look back at how you did that, yeah, sometimes it bothered me, it pissed me off, but it also really helped me see.
Let's be clear here. Sometimes.
Okay, all right, yeah. Yeah, a lot of times, well, yeah, I would get defensive about it, sure.
Well, of course you would. What? Yeah. I would too if I were you.
Yeah, I didn't like it, but it did cause me to have to start look at some things that I never looked at. I just said.
But so why did you keep talking to me? I mean, I was an offensive, rude, ugly, gringo bastard that doesn't give a shit about how you feel about things.
Well, that's true. I mean that.
No. So why did you keep talking to me?
Because I, sort of underneath that, I knew I had to resolve that. Or it's like you were talking to me about things that I knew were true, but I didn't really have a way to talk about it.
Breathe, please.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Whew, I thought you were gonna pass out.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
You saw it differently than me, and that was.
I sure did, because I was on the receiving end of it, so I saw it way different than you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. All right. I'm sorry, Ken. I wanted to illustrate something of what it means to be brutally honest with yourself, and I know that Terry has to be about this. I know that it's cost her a lot to be brutally honest with herself about, but I think she's learned a lot about herself because of it. What do you think?
Yeah,
Or
I
what
know.
does Carrie think, or what does anybody think?
Yeah, no, that's a question. When I first started to think about these concepts, I wasn't sure about this brutal honesty thing. I had fancied myself as a nice fellow, only to upon some reflection, sometimes on the receiving end of people questioning whether what I was doing was actually honest or upfront, forthright, or whatever you want to call it. I got a glimpse of how my nice guy thing was something other than actually being a nice guy. Then I really had to think about what the hell this honesty chapter was really about. Because I'll tell you guys, when I first started to think about this, I was like, honesty? I got this. Watch Ken Kaplan dispense honesty on everybody that he knows. Uh, do you hear what I just said? There's something.
I can.
Oh, Vanessa.
How
Is
are
it
you,
you?
Ken? Yes.
How you doing, Vanessa?
I'm doing good. So I have a question. I don't know if you or John can answer this, but what does it mean to be like brutal honesty? Because I know that a lot of people will confuse it like with like, well, I don't lie.
Okay. How about, what would you think, Vanessa, in answering your question, if, since I know that Ralph's on and he hasn't gotten to the chapter yet and Alex is on, what if I read the first couple of pages of the honesty chapter? Right here and now. What'd you think about that?
Okay, well, do it.
Let's do
Way
that.
better than I do.
Yeah, we'll see if the answer is there. All right, this is chapter 6, where we are tonight. We'll be in chapter 6 tomorrow, too. Chapter 6, honesty. First starts off with a quote. A friend is someone who tells you when you err. The greatest challenge of communicating is having the courage to say something that is, without doubt, going to upset someone. If the shaman tells the truth, he can face the likelihood that no matter what he says, someone's going to be upset. This is a dilemma. But the alternative is to agree with untruths. If the shaman's going to be honest with himself, whoops, I got to go back, find my screen again. If the shaman is going to be honest with himself and others, then he may not agree to perpetuate untruthfulness in himself. This makes it difficult to communicate with those who wish to have his agreement about solving problems because they may not enjoy honest communication. Honesty with oneself is hard. Honesty with others is harder. We all guard secrets which we think that only we know. Those secrets can destroy us. We may guard secrets about who we really are, or what makes us cry, what we enjoy, or even what we fear. And these secrets are our little lies to ourselves and to others. When we humans learned to lie, or we learned to lie, we began to divide the amount of thinking machinery available to problem solving. It is honesty which must reclaim. Well, it is honesty which we must reclaim in order to progress on the path of knowledge. One aspect of honesty or dishonesty, as the case may be, which is particularly debilitating, is blame. Blame is a convenient method of not looking at something real. Part of the reason we all like to blame others so much is that we often do not understand the truth about an instance, and rather than discover the truth, we simply blame a nearby patsy and kid ourselves about what actually transpired. This type of event does not define honesty. Blame is debilitating because we cannot learn from the event, nor does blame make maximum use of the thinking apparatus. If we're presented with an opportunity to learn and we take the blame shortcut, we waste a perfectly good thought which could easily serve us for the rest of our life. The worst part of blame is that it prevents us from dealing with the real world. For instance, if someone steps in a hole in a sidewalk on a city street, the common reaction would be, blame the city. That hole wasn't there, I wouldn't have stepped in it, we say. That part's true, but it does not allow us to be responsible for our actions. The truth of the matter is that we didn't see the hole. We did a dumb thing by stepping into it. It's not necessarily our fault, nor is it the fault of the city that we weren't paying attention to where we were walking. Assigning fault won't fix clumsiness, and if we blame someone else for our lack of attention, then we failed to learn to watch where we are going. This is a silly example, but it points to the type of honesty a shaman must practice. At times, an individual may have a program. Well, let's say for those that, like Alex, that might not know, we're talking about a neural program, something you've written in your brain as a program. At times, an individual may have a program which was learned in childhood. That program may not have worked then, and it still doesn't, but until it's recognized and changed, it will continue to run our life. Some childhood programs are easy to recognize. No one thinks there's really a Santa Claus, and no one holds on to that thought for a long time. We're likely to think that mom and dad tried to control our life, however. Until we become adults, mom and dad do control our lives within certain limits. When we become adults, we need to understand that the reason we survived childhood was a result of that control. Many people carry anger into adulthood concerning the control that mom and dad were obligated to exercise. Such anger can be hidden from an individual because he uses it to look at the world. It's part of his description of the world to think that he is still being controlled. And that individual may be confused as to why he erupts in anger over seemingly innocent encounters. It takes brutal honesty to identify and eradicate such long-term programming. I'll stop there. We talked to, Ralph was mentioning, I think he was, we talked about some things, Ralph, that you had taken from your childhood about just because you witnessed certain things going on. And when you witness things and you're 2 or 3 years old, you're apt or likely to, to form an interpretation about what they are that might not line up with what actually is, right? I think you told a story about your mom and some experiences like that shaped the way you view the world. Well, the brutal honesty part, or the honesty part, is something we apply to ourselves. Actually look in. And for those that, haven't been down this road for a long time, I totally get where my friend Terry is. It has at lots of times, most times, maybe all times, been not always a awesomely pleasant experience to look at myself. Although I will tell you for sure, I do that regularly now, and without the same hanging my head low, oh, woe is me, I can't believe this, or, defensiveness that I used to have on it. Because, if somebody's saying something on the outside, I kind of figure it's good to listen to it, to hear what they got to say instead of being so defensive about it. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think, Vanessa? Did we get an answer out of that verse, Vanessa?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't know if Ralph or, even Paul, like, how do you use it in how you talk to your people? Where are you, Paul? Are you here tonight, Paul?
We'll find
Yeah, I'm here, folks. What do you mean? How do I use what exactly?
Yeah, like, how do you apply, this brutal honesty? Like, I guess,
Oh,
I guess all of us have to a certain point to, and John, you've said this before. It's like, who are you lying to? I remember one time, and this is a stupid example, but I remember one time I had just gotten here, and India, we went somewhere, and she's like, "Oh, is your favorite color pink?" And I was like, "No, it's blue." And she goes, "Oh, wow." She goes, "Well, that's weird because you buy everything that's pink." And I was like, "Wow, like, that's true. I do like pink. Like, why would I be lying about my color?" Like, So it's like, when I was a kid, I remember that someone told me, like, they made fun of me for liking pink. So I was like, "Oh no, I like blue." So for that, like, the whole time, like, I was like, I liked pink, but I didn't say that I liked pink.
think you stumped Paul.
I guess.
Right.
With my thinking
It was just a little meandering. It's okay. It's all good. I think your base question was, what do I do with honesty?
Yes.
Well, I think it started in a place where, I was darn sure I understood what honesty was, right? Kind of like what you were saying, Ken. I was quite sure I understood what honesty was, but that was really me just being able to shock jock people with eloquent Barbie little witticisms, the kind of honesty that actually helps people actually starts with yourself, which is the idea of brutal honesty, where you can look at the places that people are pointing out or that reality is telling you don't work so well, and then leaving blame on the side of the road and grabbing that bull by the horns and saying, okay, something I'm doing here is not working the way that I think it is. So once I grappled with that for a little while, then my honesty with my staff and my family and friends was at least a little more effective. I've always been a fan of being that guy that can say things that people are like, wow, did he just say that? So getting out of my own way and being more honest with myself allowed me to identify parts or things that other people were doing or needed to hear, and getting that out in front of them in a way that they can hear it, which is surprisingly difficult sometimes. Those of you that have been on these calls for a while have probably seen a few scenarios where people grapple with connecting with those things. Last night, even, I think Greg, I believe his name was, found himself in a place I don't think he'd ever found himself before.
Yep.
Right? I mean, a very rehearsed answer about how his relationship was going with his wife turned out to indicate that, maybe he had some responsibility in her being an angry person.
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah.
People, there's a saying, we've said it a few times here, you can't see what you're looking with. So like Alex, for example, since you're new, I'll use you.
Oh, but you can tell that there's something there that you're using, and you can tell what it is that it's doing.
No, I think
so it's not that you're ignorant of it. If you just may not be able to tell what it looks like, but you could ask somebody like your old lady.
yeah. Well, okay. So you take issue with the blanket ignorance thing because you're doing it. And if you're doing it, well, then you're doing it. And then if I'm doing something, which I've done a whole host of some things like arguing and defensive and whatever, and then it'd be hard. I think your point, John, is for me to say, what? Yep, didn't know I was doing it. Right.
Well, what's the other side of blame, right? We got responsibility.
Yep.
If you're blaming somebody or saying, well, I can't see it, well, one thing you're definitely not doing is being responsible for yourself.
Yeah.
So anyway, Vanessa, that's the philosophy I use to work my business and get that to where that needs to be, and help people overcome the limits or boundaries that they don't recognize that they're operating with, but are limiting what I need them to be able to accomplish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I mean that's I think that's one of the main ways how to use that tool of brutal honesty. But it does begin with oneself,
Yeah.
And if it's the color pink. But I don't know, like John, I don't know if you could add to like this, like why did you put this chapter in your book? Like why was it so? I know that now that I have read it and been in it and used it and everything, I know that for me, like that's something that you really look about it. But how were you thinking about
it's the tool that releases the energy governed by empathy function. Because unless you know what's really in you, how are you going to see something that's in somebody else? I mean, how can you tell the difference between what's yours and what somebody else's unless you're brutally honest with yourself?
This is why I stick with you, you know?
I know that they're attacking you. How many times do people do that? I know that there's a fight, really. Well, what John's saying is brutal honesty starts at home. Brutal honesty starts with oneself. How really? How am I going to know what someone else is really doing if I'm not first honest with myself?
But I don't think you're gonna.
I don't think so either.
I don't think you can.
You know, here's the thing. If you think about this, empathy function is supposed to be feeling the other guy's feeling, right?
Yeah.
So what are you doing? You're feeling his angry. You're feeling his poor me. You're feeling his pitiful life. You're feeling his disdain for your thoughts. Is that what you're using empathy for? Do you know what of that is yours and what of that belongs to him? You need to be honest with yourself so that you know what's there for you. You really need to know. You know, this is what I know. This is what I've been. This is what my experiences are. This is where I've been. Yeah, I'm a fuck up, and this is where I fucked up, and this is where I keep making the same mistake over and over. I'm working on that one, but I don't have it completely unraveled yet. These other ones over here, though, motherfucker, these I'm done with. I graduated Phi Beta Kappa from that school. You don't need to call me up on this stuff here. I'm an expert on it. Mm-hmm. And so you don't need to, don't even bring that stuff over here because I'll be kicking your butt. Mm-hmm.
I think that, like, all kidding aside though, but like as a parent, like you really apply that because like you really have to, you go to those places with your children because you've been there, right? So I think that
not only have you been there, so have they.
Yeah. And so like,
say more about that. So
yeah, you caught me off guard and I was like, what? Yeah.
Just
well,
a little more on that point.
You know, I'm to explain this. I'm always reminded that little kid I saw one night with Jenny sitting on the sidewalk in front of a restaurant in the marina here in Vallarta, and this family, a whole gaggle of family comes stalking by. You know, they weren't from the city. The way they were walking, they were used to walking out in the country because they were taking great big old long strides as it was. But leading the parade was this little bitty kid. You know, he was like 18 months, 19, 20 months old, something like that. He wasn't that big, but he was walking, and he had his hands behind his back, and he was getting on down the highway there. He was. Mm-hmm. And then come behind him some cousins, some little fat girls and some little skinny girls, and they're playing and giggling. And then there's some guys that were kicking and bumping each other. And then at the very end of it, come this other fella, and walking just exactly like that little kid leading the parade. I mean, exactly. Look like him, walk like him, gotta be daddy. Because this little kid had learned to walk from his daddy. He'd watched his daddy walk. Now, we all do that. Now, there's no reason for me to be upset about that. We all do it. The thing is this, is that we need to be honest with ourselves that we did that. We don't need to be all mad at ourselves about it. We did it. And you know what? Our kids did the same stupid things because we didn't see it, and we repeated the same mistakes our parents did because we didn't know that they were mistakes either. We didn't know that shit was in there when we started doing it.
Yep. Like that. You
know, talk about on-the-job training. It's like, oh, damn, did I just do that to that kid? How long is that going to affect that kid? 15, 20 years? No, I got to stop that now. No, we can't have that going on. No, this got to stop here. You know, you have to do that like that as a parent every now and then, right?
Yep.
and other things you got to set. No, just let me hush my mouth. Let that kid go do whatever you're going to do there. Let's see where it goes. That damn. How in the hell's that kid doing that thing? God only knows, because I damn sure didn't learn it from me. I didn't learn it from his mama, that's for sure. But look the kid go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think them are just things that we have to do in life. But I think we have to be honest with ourselves about that, Vanessa. That's why I wrote that chapter, because how else am I going to be empathetic with somebody else and understand the feeling that they're going through, whether the feelings they have for their parent, for their kids, and the struggles that they have with it, or the loss they feel when somebody close to them passes away, or even the joy that they feel because they got her fucking raise. Let's go out and drink some of that up. I'm really, you need to buy me some beers with that money you just got. I mean, that's, all of that is empathy. And we don't get to use that. We don't get to see that effect in our lives unless we're honest with ourselves at the very basic of levels. Because we don't know which end is up unless we are. How can we?
John, one of the other parts of this being honest with yourself thing is it lets you deal with something once and for all and never look at it again.
Well, Paul, that's where you and I are a lot alike. We're both entrepreneurs in that regard, and that's one of the earmarks of an entrepreneur. I don't care whether it's good or bad or right or wrong. Just get done with it.
Yep. Yep.
Be done. Okay. Did it work? Then let's not do that anymore. It did work? Well, fuck, let's do it again. Done with it. Quit fiddly buttoning around with it. Let's go. I'm like, chop chop.
Yep. But even for folks that don't consider themselves entrepreneurs, I mean, you want to keep revisiting these things that you haven't been honest about for the rest of your life, or you just want to step up and take a swing at it and see if you can honestly assess what the hell's going on for yourself, so you don't have to keep battling it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the combo we had with Terry earlier today that she was recounting.
Indeed, it's cost her energy for years.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be that way.
I certainly hope not.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is I think that Terry doesn't want it to go on like that. I think that's part of the reason why Terry struggled with it so much, is she said, I can see that there's something not working here, but what the hell is it? Well,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm politically incorrect, or maybe I'm just an asshole. But I figured that for Terry, it'd be a whole lot better rather than protect her femininity as she had always defined it. It'd be just better to say, Terry, I appreciate that what you're trying to say and what you're trying to do, but sweetheart, you're coming off like a bitch instead of like what you're trying to accomplish here. Is that really what you want to do?
Yeah.
I always thought that was more helpful than saying, yes, I'm on your side. I always thought that was
yeah.
Because to begin with, I wasn't on her side. She's been a bitch about things.
Yeah. Keep trying. We're doing it.
And I wasn't being honest with her about it in any way, shape, or form, or with me either. So.
Yeah, that was a lot more helpful.
Here's a quote from a guy named Ken Wilber, who is known for this thing called integral theory, which I don't know very much of, but I do like this quote. And Ken Wilber writes, "Real compassion kicks butt and takes names. If you're not ready for this fire, then find a new age sweetness and light, perpetually smiling teacher. But stay away from those who practice real compassion, because they will fry your ass, my friend." Yeah, I think you said, John, not politically correct, which, yeah, maybe.
No, I'm not. I'm the original. You can take the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy guy. That's me.
But yet, Terry's here for how many years? I've been
Yeah, but Terry's a glutton for punishment. She just likes this kind of stuff, you know.
So your premise here is that this has the payoff here punishment?
No. I have to be Terry's answer to sexual fantasies.
Oh.
And I mean, she said she did secondhand, right?
Oh, jeez.
That's pretty funny. That, yep. Well, cool. Who else? Pat Jones, we trying to unmute your mic, or you were just experimenting with technology tonight? I didn't want to cut you off here if you had a question or a point, or we
Yeah,
could.
Pat, he didn't want to talk to you.
Okay, well, that's that then.
Go ahead and talk to him anyway, Pat.
Yeah, no questions, Ken.
Just show him. Go ahead and talk to him anyway. Just to fuck with him, Pat. I dare you.
Pat Jones. Are you being honest with
You know, somebody's got to bust your chops every now and then, Kaplan. You know, nobody else does it. So come on, Pat, you can go for it.
Yeah.
He needs you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was just trying to figure out how to unmute my mic.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like you figured it out. Well, cool. Whatever. What else you guys got? Any other comments, questions here before we wrap it up for the night? Hey, Alex, you still listening in?
Alex ran home. He just left.
All right. Well, we'll have to send him a link and tell him about SoundCloud. He can listen to the audio recordings. And
He did tell me he wants the. I told him, send me your email. I'll send it to you guys. This way you can send them the, like the nightly email. That's an easy way to just link on.
Yeah, that's an easy way for him to do it, isn't it?
Yep.
Was Greg listening on tonight?
No, Greg's
That might-
missing in action tonight.
Yeah, they had guests tonight, so.
Happens.
But this was one I wanted him to listen to. But we'll catch him on the next go around.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about honesty again tomorrow. It's a great chapter. If you haven't, read. It's worth reading again and again and again.
Cool.
All right. Anybody else? Then we will reconvene mañana, same time, 8 p.m., where we'll discuss honesty part 2 tomorrow.
Awesome. Good night, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.